And welcome everybody. Lovely to have you here. Lovely to see some friendly faces from Australia. Just let me know where you're from as you come on. And I'm really excited about presenting this today. All about um, being strong and lean and unapologetic leaders. This idea of this particular little shift in what I do came about a month ago. I was actually walking. I don't know if you've ever had this happen. You kind of perturbate on something for a while, and then something happens, and then it's like, oh my gosh. And it had followed a networking meeting where I was speaking to a group of people and women in particular. And it was a woman who was telling me that she felt that she'd reached this time in her life where she felt irrelevant. It felt like nobody listened to her anymore. It felt like everything had kind of culminated for this moment and she just kind of lost herself. And I got thinking about it and I thought, what is that? What is it when we get to that midlife age, menopause and beyond? That menopause transition can go for about 20 years. What is it that we feel that we become irrelevant? And I know people women who are struggling to find work or a job, or as they move into that later part of their lives, because the wisdom and the experience isn't as valued as what it should be. And I got thinking about what's the reason that we promote being stronger. What's that? What's the real reason? And that's what I'm going to talk about tonight. What is it about physical health that is what's the purpose? It can't be just about losing weight. It can't be just about, belly fat. It's got to be a deeper reason. And that's kind of had me go down rabbit holes this last month where I've really been questioning, what is it I do? What is it I do? Why do I continue to do it? And what is it I now want to talk to people about? I don't want to just talk about weight loss, fat loss, all that stuff anymore. There's got to be a deeper reason why so many women that I'm speaking to right now are looking for something more, something deeper, something that means more to them. We haven't got to this stage of our evolutionary path to just sit on the shelf, really. And that's what this is going to be all about tonight. It's all about, or today, for those in Australia. What is it? What's going on for us? And if there has ever been a time for wisdom that comes from women to hold space, it's now. And I'm going to share a few of those stories with you today. So I'm just going to share my screen. That's me, Sally. At 73 for the past 12 months, my pastor has finished and I'm a bit lost. Great, Sally, you're on the call. That's fantastic. I'm just going to share my screen and we're going to get into this because I spent quite a bit of time doing this. I wanted to make this very impactful for you. Where'd I go? Where did I go? Share. Try this again. There we go. What is it? What is it? What is it meaning? What does it mean for us? And where are we heading? So the words that came to me in the middle of the night one night was this: being strong and clear and unapologetically ourselves. Strong physically, emotionally, and spiritually, clear in our direction, what we want, where we're heading, so we can be unapologetically ourselves and not feel that we have to be making excuses for who we are. And there's no doubt about it. Let me know in the chat if this happens to you. No doubt about it that wisdom and us as midlife women really isn't valued. There's a friend of mine who's currently looking for work said, she doesn't even get past the sending in her CV. It's like her experience doesn't hold, and so we need to change this. And why does this masterclass matter? Because midlife isn't a decline, it's an evolution. And I feel this real calling at the moment. For those of us, I'm in my late 60s, my last birthday in my 60s in a couple of months, and I don't feel I'm ready to stop. I don't feel I'm ready to stop. I feel I have more to give. I don't keep myself fit and healthy to do nothing. Let me know in the comments if that's how you feel. Let me know in the comments if that's how you feel, that you've got more to give. And to lead and to influence and impact powerfully, we must first reclaim our physical foundation. We can't do it. All the stuff around menopause, where it's feeling that exhaustion and brain fog. When I did a survey of some of the leaders here in Canada who were going through that leadership, one of the biggest challenges they faced was brain fog. So we're going to touch a little bit on that today. And of course, physical wellness and strength is the cornerstone of feminine power. I'm just going to stop the share for a minute because I want to be able to see you. I was asked a question the other day that I want to share with you. And the question was, is this just about divine feminine energy, frilly dresses and walking around in the grass and, umming and ahhing? And I think that's where divine feminine energy is not that, although if that's what you want, that's fine. But it's about embodiment of power. Divine feminine energy is powerful. It's intuitive. It's wise. We have, for those of us who are fortunate enough to have mothers and grandmothers, my grandparents were in my life until my 30s. My mother passed away before that. But those women of that generation were post-war. Their whole role was just survival. Both my grandmothers, post-war, raising children in poverty, just how they're going to get things on the table, didn't have the opportunity that we have nowadays. I remember going to my grandmother's house. I'm the eldest of 37 cousins on one side. 9 children my grandmother had. Well, she had 10. One passed away as a child, but that being surrounded by family was very important for my grandparents, my grandmother in particular. But the lessons I got from my grandmother, which was stillness and quietness and love and family, is not necessarily what we want to bring. I believe, yes, all that, but I believe we have way more to give. And right now I'm seeing a lot. Let me know in the comments if you feel this way, but right now I feel we need more women, not women trying to pretend to be men by being strong and aggressive and walk around in power suits. We need more women to be able to step up to hold this space. Here in Vancouver, we've become very good friends and the surrogate grandparents for a number of my daughter's friends. 4 of them had babies last year, and none of them have mothers here. And I watched these young women really struggle way more than we did, because the expectation of what they have to be now. Mortgages we struggled with our mortgage, I'm sure. Let me know in the comments if you did, especially in the 80s. It was a big deal. Mortgage was $300, $300 a week, and we still struggle, But these days, we bought our first house to $147,000. These days, these young people are buying houses $1.2, $1.3 million. They have a huge debt. And so the pressure on these young women to go back to work, the pressure on them to keep their skills up so that they can continue on to be relevant, and bring the money in is tough on them, because they've got all this information about how to be a good mother and how to be a good career woman and and often they'll come and sit with me and just unload, because they don't have with them that power of a wise woman to just share. So this is what this is really all about. It's about embellishing and embracing and honoring our wisdom, because it's so needed. I'm getting off the point a little bit, but I just feel right now, I see so much in politics and in corporate where women have to show up like with male energy rather than being truly divine feminine, which is strong and powerful and empathetic and considerate and wise and don't want to put up with the BS. We don't want to put up with the BS. We've been down that path before. All right, let's go to the next one. Where am I? Next slide. Sorry, I can't see the thing. All right. So I wanted to share with you my evolution and why I'm going to be teaching this now. What's really going on. So for many of you who know, I began in the fitness industry days where we had to spell what aerobics was back in 1980. This is me in 1984 at the age of 26. I was teaching 4 aerobic classes a day. I was training instructors. I had a TV show. We ran 2 gyms. I used to teach 4 aerobic classes a day because we couldn't afford to pay anybody else to do them. Back in those days, we used to pay them $14 an hour. Holy moly. This poor girl thought she was fat, the size of my arms, for God's sake. So age 26, that I was doing, low calorie, low fat. For those who've been on my calls before, you know this story. Cutting the skin off the chicken. Everything was, low fat cottage cheese, low fat yogurt, low fat everything. And in 1994, I found this old photo. I'm sorry, it's really because I couldn't zero in on it. This is me at 36. So I just had my third child. Caitlin there is about 3.5, I think, 4. And I was still doing okay. I was teaching 2 classes a day. I moved to the Gold Coast by that stage, managing the gym, still running, eating fairly restricted diet. And I had breastfed my all 3 children and my daughter Caitlin until she was about 20 months old. So of course, they kept the weight down, but I was still very focused. And I thought, 36, I'm pretty good. Oh, and then menopause hit. And in 2011, age 55, I could not keep up with doing this anymore. It was impossible. Everything hurt. Let me know if you remember those days. Everything hurt. I gained weight. I went from a size 8 in Australia, and in the US, that'd be about a size 2, to a size 14 in a matter of probably 4 years, which is very big for me because I'm only 5'1". And I often tell the story about I've been asked to speak at an event after I'd written my first book, and about success for women over 50, and coming from being these on the side of the screen where I could literally eat anything I want. Well, thought I could. I couldn't really. I was restricting eating so much and working out, to still trying to do the same thing when I was 55 and just kept blooming in weight and the brain fog. So this night I was asked to speak, nothing fit me. I couldn't find anything to fit. This was just an old pair of black pants that I couldn't do the button up properly. So I had to put leave the button open and the zip open and the big ugly shirt over the top of it, and, a scarf to cover it. And I remember crying all the way home. I just felt, how could I be speaking about success in front of all these people when the one thing that I prided myself was always, because I was a fitness professional. This was after, some stressful times in their life as well. So the weight just bloomed. And when I came home that night, I had to really think, okay, where am I going? What do I have to do? And I had written a manuscript for a book prior to that, put in the garage, forgot all about it to this just after this event. And I was going through some boxes and found the manuscript. The manuscript was called The Art of Losing Weight Permanently, How to Eat Intuitively. And I remember at the time thinking, man, I'd forgotten this. I'd lost myself. Let me know if this happened to you during menopause in particular, leading up perimenopause. Now what I know, it's 14 years, 15 years in the lead up. It can start anywhere from 40. It's even getting earlier now, 38, 39, they're saying. But it was around about 40 for me. And so by the time I hit 55, I had no idea what was going on. And I had sort of sailed through menopause. With perimenopause was tough for me. And from there, the story I haven't told often is I developed what's called my 10 principles of wellness. That's evolved over time. And that's what I'm going to be talking about tonight. It's that 10 principles of wellness that's based in both wisdom and science that changed me. And so, for me, the ability to have literally, I think, slowed down or at least reduced the aging process, that I'm fitting into clothes now that I would have in 1984, 1994 that I couldn't fit in 2011. And I feel stronger and leaner and more unapologetic than I ever have. And that moving through midlife and finding what it is that I needed for me was really powerful. And to now look at me at 68, feeling younger and more energetic and more focused and clearer in my thoughts and more powerful who I am is the 10 principles in wellness in action. And that's, as I said, I'm going to share with you tonight. And because of all of that, I've gone on to write another book. I'm actually in the process of writing my third. That those change for me in midlife was really powerful. And that's when I realized that what the 10 principles did for me was actually changed the trajectory of my life. And because of that, I see myself, and I know lots of you on this call feel you're at that age, you're not ready yet to not contribute. You're not ready yet. What am I contributing to? What is it I want to do for the next 30? I mean, we could live for another 30, 40 years the way that science is going. We want to be able to do it standing up, of course. We don't want to be doing it, incapacitated, as many women now are in their 70s. We want to be able to do it standing up. And so the 10 principles of wellness is very powerful for me in that aspect. So the wellness principles, there are 5 foundational physical principles, is what I'm going to share tonight. And there's 5 transformational esoteric principles, which are more detailed and I believe more powerful. But I'll touch a little bit on that. And together they create a system of empowered wellness and self-leadership that all have to work together. And for those of you who know me, you know that I'm extremely passionate about physical fitness for women. And as I mentioned at the beginning, one of the things I've been going through this last month was what was the reason why? So I'd like you to keep that in your mind. What's the reason you would want to be physically fit and strong, not just to fit in a dress? What's the reason? Because it has to be a deep reason. You have to have a deep why. So the very first principle, and this is how this whole journey started when I wrote the book, Eat Intuitively. I have massaged this and gotten deeper in this over the years. There are 5 aspects to eating intuitively. It's not just, when I first began it, I'm a kinesthetic, so I feel. And it took a long time for this concept to kind of become real. But I've got 5 aspects of eating intuitively. And number 1 is intentional. As I just mentioned before, there has to be a reason why. Why do you want to eat well? Why? It's not just, as I said, to fit in a dress or a summer body. I hate that. There's got to be a deep, powerful why. And that becomes a series of questions. to be able to get right, but why? But why? And I remember one day when I was sort of embellishing this concept, just sitting with a pen and a piece of paper, but why? And I kept asking myself, but why? But why? And that why, now when I finally got to, aha, that's the why, is the foundation for everything. And that's the reason that, I don't have to rely on motivation and willpower, because my why is really strong. The reason why I want to eat intuitively, the reason why I stand in the supermarket and read labels on the back of packets all the time, and why I choose to, understand nutrition, how it impacts on us. Where'd that go? Second one is intuitive, and there's a whole aspect of this intuitive. When I began eating intuitive, it became a series of questions. And one of those questions, I'll share them a little bit. I now allow myself to eat anything I want. I had to kind of drop the whole concept of all, we're still getting it to this day. Everybody's got an opinion, especially if you're on Instagram. Everybody's got an opinion what you should and shouldn't be eating. But when you allow your body to begin making the choices for you, it's a very different concept. And for many of us, we've had this, restricted eating mentality in our brain for so long. To begin to allow your body to make the choices for you is a journey. I now allow myself to anything I want. What does my body really want and need? There's two aspects of this. Need, because you may be needing some form of nutrition, more protein, more fiber. Your body will tell you. I now allow myself to eat anything. What is it my body really wants and needs? And I trust my body. I give myself permission to trust my body. It's a process. And it brings you out of that restricted diet mentality and puts you back in where you're in charge. And I've often said to clients, if you can't trust yourself intuitively to know what your body needs and wants, how can you trust your intuition for everything else? And we are extremely intuitive women, especially as we get older, but our power has been often taken away by people who think they know differently. The third aspect that is informed, and going back to that, I now allow myself to do anything I want. What does my body really need and want? So being informed about foods and, as I said, labels, what's in, nothing with seed oils, 100 grams of protein, 30 to 40 grams of fiber. That's kind of where the thing's at the moment. So understanding as science changes, what's actually going on. So informed, keeping up to date on some nutrition, not diet, nutrition is essential. And number 4 in this aspect of intuitive eating is introspective. What are the stories you're telling yourself about your food and your body? What's the story? And for many women, pop it in the chat if you remember a story when you were a child or a teenager where somebody made a comment about your weight, or somebody made a comment about the type of food you were eating, or somebody made a comment to you about, who do you think you are, what makes you so special, all that stuff. So in the concept of intuitive eating, what we do is we get underneath, or why have you turned off the wisdom? What is it? And it's an extremely important aspect, because for most women who struggle with their weight, it's never a physical reason. It's actually an emotional reason. I've worked 20 years in this area, and I can't tell you the number of times I'm working with a client or we're doing a group call and somebody will say, oh my gosh, I just remembered, this is what my dad used to say, or, I grew up where there was no money and had to eat everything on the plate, and all that stuff still sits there. And the other thing that happens is that the more you become attuned to you in this concept of intuitive eating, the more the blocks will come up, the more the memories arise. And so we have to work through that in order for you to become a truly intuitive eater. And number 5 in the concept of eating is implementation. I think I spelled that wrong. Implementation. I did left an M out, N and out. And what's implementation? That is, planning your meals, preparing them, I'm a great believer in preparing your meals, always having something in the fridge that's, you can grab on a run, especially if you're working in a leadership capacity in some way. Time is on your side, and it can often break into what you want. And our biggest letdown is grabbing things to fill ourselves when we're hungry. So plan, prepare, pace. Let me know in the comments. Are you a fast eater or a slow eater? It takes 20 minutes for your full hormone, leptin, to let you know you're full. So we need to be taking about 20 minutes to eat. And I know for many people, especially women, we've raised babies and children. We're often eating on the run or eating standing up. We've lost the art of being able to sit and enjoy our meal. There's a wonderful book called now it's gone from me. There you go. It'll come back to me in a minute. And it was a guy who actually, at the end of Cravings, got it. And he spent time in Bologna in Italy. And he said one of the things he found there was that people took a long time to eat. I have a very dear friend of mine living in Spain, and she says the same thing. The dinners happen over a long period of time. There'll be wine and there'll be good food, but people will eat slowly. So they'll eat pasta and meat and cream and everything that's there, and a glass of wine, but they eat slowly. And so, and a lot of the blue zones talk about that, where people have lived well into their hundreds, well over 100. And one of the things that is food is a celebration. Of course, we don't do that often anymore. So those are the things, those are the principles. And of course, the impact is you have more energy. You learn to trust in your body. You feel empowered, and it also creates metabolic resilience when you are listening to what your body needs. And so that's incredibly important, that we're giving ourselves permission to trust in what we're doing. Okay, I'm just going to stop this share. There's a chat there. Yeah, where are we? I feel very privileged that we see these new mothers for 4 weeks. We give them prepared meals for a fortnight. So much less trauma and longer. Oh, lovely. Yeah, exactly, Sally. They're kicking out of hospital. What the hell? I love it. All like now, or as Asians, yeah, into steak and chips and burgers. I remember my daughter in her teens asking me where was the meal. Isn't that interesting? And I think you're right, Sally. I think this is the cultural shift we're seeing. My daughter is pregnant at the moment, and we're talking a lot about this, that is giving mums the opportunity to really, nurture themselves during this time. I was at a networking event last week, and a woman was telling me she was back to work within 48 hours after a Caesar, because she was launching a new program, and her little boy, when he was born, she couldn't stop and stay at home, Dad. That's okay. But she then said at 3.5 that she got a call from the daycare, and they asked her, how much time do you actually spend with your son? And of course, she went down the mother guilt stuff. And I felt for her, because you spend time with your children for you, I think, most of the time. But the pressure on her to keep going, to keep making money, to keep this startup running, it's sad. I'd like to see a return to what you're doing, Sally, on a big scale. Prepared meals for a fortnight. That's wonderful. I'm so grateful we're here that we can do that for our daughter. And I have a husband who cooks. That's the best part. All right, let's go back to where we were. Remember to keep popping those comments in the chat, and while we get through to this. All right. So the next part of this is principle number 2 is fast intermittently. I'm a great believer in fasting. But as I've mentioned on many of these calls before, fasting is very personal. It doesn't have to follow everybody else's rules. And especially if you're post-menopause. Interesting enough, I heard a comment the other day that menopause lasts a day. So the day your period stops. 12 months after your last period, but it lasts a day, and then you're in postmenopause. And women through postmenopause and beyond should never fast exactly the same way every single day. You need to mess it up. So you might do 16-8, finish dinner at 7, don't have anything until 8 to 11 o'clock the next day. The next day you might do a 12-12, just no snacking at night. You might want to do a longer fast. Everything really is based on you, and it's intuitive too, because you're learning your body's rhythms. And I'm a great believer. I taught fitness in the days when it was 3 meals and 2 snacks a day. We're now finding that that's not right, because it impacts on metabolic health and blood sugar levels. So fasting actually helps with the cellular repair and longevity. And, lots of studies showing that people who live longer actually eat. They don't have snacks, so they don't carry a granola bar out to the fields. They have a breakfast and they'll have dinner and big meals. So we want to get back to that. We're not feeding ourselves. And what happens is, when you give that body your digestive rest, helps with your hormones, especially ghrelin and leptin, which are like hunger hormones and your full hormone. But it creates clarity, because your body's not trying to digest food, which is the number one reason for energy. The body needs more energy. And so in digestion. So it gives your body the opportunity. And especially at night, really, really essential that you're not eating just before you go to bed. So you're giving your body a chance to rest and digest. And there's a wonderful concept a lot of people are now implementing, is walking after dinner. Not always possible, especially depending on the weather. But if you can get out and walk, shown to lower your insulin levels and quite after a full meal. All right. Principle number 3 is exercise effectively. And for those who know me, this is my favorite. I love everything to do with exercise, especially these days, because we know a lot more, especially about the way we exercise and the benefits. So I want to just mention a couple of things. When you're thinking about exercise and thinking about your body, you want to think strong over skinny. We lose muscle mass every year over the age of about 50. And our muscle mass is the engine of a body. It's not just about, increasing your metabolism. It's also where your immune system exists, and also to help reduce risk of injury. And one of the number one leaders of death for women is frailty. So we have to keep our bodies moving. So you think strong over skinny. No more being skinny. You want strong muscle. Health over weight. If you're still on the scales, get off them. They mean nothing. Absolutely nothing. Because they're not measuring the real thing. But you want to feel strong and healthy. And consistency over comparison. You're on your own journey. And I'm a great believer that when you wanting to be fit and strong, your only focus is on every couple of weeks, you're going to increase your weights, your competition with yourself. And as Dr. Von der Reich says, get rid of the mamby-pamby pink weights and lift heavy. For those of you who, Sue, I know you have your grandchildren around, those little tykes are heavy. You've got to have the strength to lift them. So that's where those strong upper body, and studies are showing women with strong leg muscles have less risk of dementia and Alzheimer's. So things like squats and lunges and any of those types of things, really important. You want to be strong leg muscles, because it's going to help protect you against Alzheimer's and dementia in the long run. But again, for posture, as we age, posture is often the first thing to go. What happened then? What happened then? Oh, I don't need to see it, but all right. 5 aspects of exercise effectively. And these need to be incorporated in every workout that you do. Really, really important. And I've developed a whole series of exercises, videos for this purpose. The 5 aspects are strength. Strength, strength, strength. Think strength, strength, strength all the time. If you're going for a walk, come back and do some squats. If you're going for a walk, come back and do some push-ups. Always working on your strength, because as I said, we lose it as we get age. Number 2 is form. Very important that, being an old fitness instructor for the last 40 years, I'm very focused on proper form. When you're doing the exercise, you want to engage your core. That's what's really important. Engage your core muscles. Don't waste time doing sit-ups. That's just silly. A lot of very little return for a lot of effort. But your form, the way you do the exercise, you're constantly, if your form is correct, engaging that core muscles. And going back to say posture. I want to focus on our posture. If you want a way to check your posture, is next time you're walking down the mall, have a look at your reflection in the mirror, in the windows of the stores, and see where your posture is. Think about what your mother said: shoulders back and down, hips tucked under. Not only will you look better, you'll lose extra 2 kilos really quickly, because you'll just look great. Okay, posture. Always thinking about posture, especially if so many of us are sitting. Balance. Wow. Have I ever been reminded of this lately? Is balance. A couple of my friends just recently had falls in supermarkets, slipping on things. And while that's unavoidable, your balance can often help when that happens. We here in Vancouver, we're very uneven sidewalks. Keep your wits about you when you're walking. Not like Australia, but we have different weather here that causes that. And so constantly you have to kind of look. And the number of times I went to go over my ankle, my balance pulls me back. Balance is also a key indicator of longevity. Now the last one is flexibility. You want to be flexible. You want to have flexible ligaments, so that you have more grace and be able to move more quickly, not getting up out of the chair going, as my comedian Billy. Oh God, I'm having one of those days today. Who's that comedian? Billy the Scotch one. Anyway, he talks about old man noises. You don't want to be making those old lady noises when you get out of chairs. You need that flexibility. Really important. And of course, the impact is confidence, energy, posture, and longevity. All right. Principle number 4, I'm going to whip through these really quickly, and I'm going to get to those questions in a minute. So I will be letting you know in a little bit a way that you can continue to work from it if it's something that resonates with you. Sleep, really, really, really important. A new study, Dr. Bill Campbell, who's my favorite fangirl, Dr. Bill Campbell, he is the world's leading researcher in fat loss, and is now doing a long-term study in menopause and fat loss, and why women going through menopause struggle to lose weight. And one of the things he talks about is sleep. That if you're not getting good, restful, restorative sleep, forget trying to lose weight. It's not going to happen. Interesting. So understand your sleep chronotype. There's 4 different chronotypes by the sleep doctor. Understand the type of person you are. I'm a lion, so I am a go to bed early, wake up early. I'm ready, right? As soon as the sun's up, I'm up. My husband's a bear. So he goes to sleep late at night and takes a long time. He's groggy in the morning until he's had his coffee. That's a bear type. One of my closest girlfriends is a dolphin, and she like doesn't get that deep sleep. When she found out her sleep chronotype, what it did was make her feel better. Dolphins skim the water, and they don't often get to that deep sleep, but that's okay for them. And prioritizing your routine, like the light exposure you have, as we all know, don't take your phone into the bedroom and read at night. Go for a walk in the morning, 10 minutes, sun in your eyes, get some sun in the afternoon, even watch the sunset with no sunglasses on to create melatonin. So serotonin in the morning with getting the sun, melatonin at night to help you sleep and recover, help you recover. And of course, the impact on that is mood, brain health, brain fog in particular. The study shows that many women, as they're going through menopause, have disrupted sleep, and that can impact on on brain health, brain fog, fat loss, as I mentioned, don't try and lose weight if you're not looking after your sleep, resilience, and again, longevity. And principle number 5, trust yourself instinctively. Release and reframe limiting triggers. This is so powerful. To be learned to trust yourself instinctively. Your intuition is your internal GPS. As I said, if you can't trust yourself about the food that you put in your body, how can you trust yourself? And for many of us, our intuition was taken away from us as kids. What makes you think that? How do you think you are? And yet, as we age, it is our most powerful concept. Intuition, we just, I don't know about that guy, or, actually, I think I'll do this. Our intuition is so powerful, but we have to release the emotional triggers, release and reframe them, because they will block you from making a decision every single time. Your intuition is so powerful. So it impacts on your decision-making, self-respect, boundaries, and power when you learn to trust yourself. So those are the first 5 of the 10 principles of wellness. And these are the next 5 transformational principles that I go through in my 8-week program. Meditate daily, tap. We use EFT, very powerful for releasing those emotional triggers. I've been doing EFT since 2014. It's very powerful. To live purposefully. Oh, this is my favorite. When you uncover your soul purpose, your reason for being here. Soul purpose different from life purpose. And you weave that into your daily. So powerful. We do that in the 8-week program. Forgive easily yourself and others. Move on. Don't hang on to old stuff. And that's where tapping comes in, where you can use EFT to help bring those emotional triggers up, release the emotional connection to them, forgive yourself and others for what happened, and move on. And another one that I love, my favorite one, number 10, is to seek joy and celebrate often. When you seek joy every day, you create serotonin in the brain, and also your brain goes looking for more ways to seek joy and celebrate often. And I love the concept of Friday afternoons. Just, okay, what is it? What can I celebrate? I'm still standing, I'm still breathing. It's a good one. Look what I've achieved this week. I went for a walk 4 times this week, whatever it is, because you're retraining that brain. And what I find for many women is they don't take time to do that. In a group, though, in a group circumstances, that's what we're looking at all the time. And why do these principles matter? It isn't self-care. It isn't self-care. This is a strategy to create energy to lead, resilience to rise, clarity to decide, and courage to speak. And that's whole part of being unapologetic. The courage to speak your truth and clarity to decide. All right, I'm going to stop the share for a minute. I just want to have a look at these questions that have come in. Comments. Oh, 3 more. Sue, so is lifting landscaping blocks. Yeah. Yes, exactly. I'm strong, but bad posture is all my downfall. Yeah. Yeah, it is, Sue, because it means your lower back is compromised if you don't have good posture. And good posture, as I mentioned before, if you're focusing on your posture, the way your mother said, shoulders up and back and down, and lifting up from your core, you're constantly engaging that ab muscles, which can help with any lower back or shoulder injuries. I've got a bit of a back thing happening today. I have no idea why. I don't know why. And it's been a bit painful today, but I just now want to take a bit of time and spend some time with you guys in it about and let you know what I've got going on. If it's something that appeals to you, I want to let you know about what I've been working on for the last couple of weeks. And that is a way to embody your full potential. So to commit to your physical foundation, step into unapologetic leadership, and join the movement of strong, clear, unapologetic women. We are so needed. And I've often thought to myself, they don't. Why don't? There's so much misogyny and ageism. Why don't they change? And the thing is, they're not going to. The change has to happen through us, not to us. We're the ones that have to create the change. We're the ones who have to change it for ourselves. And we don't get it by pushing or ranting. We get it by being strong, clear, and unapologetic. So people go, oh my God, I want what she's having. I want to know what she's doing. Because when you're clear, and I mean that both, in a metaphysical way too, when you're clear on your intentions, going back to that first aspect of intuitive eating, when you're clear on your intentions, you actually create your own magic. It's only those triggers and limiting beliefs that stand in the way. And if you've made a decision to change, if you've made a decision that you want to do whatever, and it isn't working, it means that something's going on for you, because there's a great saying Dr. Joseph Spencer says, the minute you intend something and visualize something, it's already there. How many times has this happened to you? You've thought about somebody and the phone rings. You think to yourself, oh, I might just go on a holiday to Tuscany, and all of a sudden you see everywhere opportunities for you to go to Tuscany. How many times has that happened to you? Whether you take up that concept of, oh, let's go to Tuscany, is a belief. Oh, I don't know if I have enough money, don't have time, I've got to deal with all the, passport. If you want to come to the States right now, I'll heap other things you have to deal with. But the minute you think it and you unencumber all those beliefs, you step right into the power. That for us, moving to Vancouver is exactly that. And made a decision. And at the time, I couldn't see how we were going to do it, but it did. Things unfolded. And everybody told us when we got here, oh, you won't find anywhere to live. It's so expensive. We did 3 times. We decided where we wanted to go. This one we're in, the apartment we're in now, we just love, and a beautiful landlady that is just gorgeous. And we're paying exactly the same what we paid when we were on the Gold Coast 3 years ago. Everybody went, you won't find it. Yeah, well, yeah, we did. Because when you are clear and you're able to release any limiting beliefs about I can't have this, it all goes away. Opportunities present themselves, as they did. And the story here was, we happened to be sitting in a coffee shop and my daughter sent me the Facebook link. The girl had put it up on MasterClass. I thought, oh, I'll go look at it. And I messaged Eva, our landlady, straight away, who turns out to be it. And she said, oh, I've got a showing at 12 o'clock. And I said, okay, we'll be there. And 10 minutes later, she messaged me and said, do you guys want to come early? So I got here before everybody else did. And she must have gone and checked out my Facebook profile, I think. And I literally had one step in the door and went, this is it, we're taking it. We just love it. So that's the concept of what I believe divine feminine wisdom is, and you have to have that physical impression. So what I've created is over 8 transformational weeks, we're going to walk through each of the 10 principles and apply them directly to the way you work, lead, parent, and live. Because leadership for me is community and parenting as well. You'll learn how to rebuild energy and vitality through, we're going to look at targeted science-backed practices. Everything in the 10 principles of wellness is wisdom and science-backed, every single thing. You can look at it one way or the other. You reconnect to your own wisdom and self-trust, your most powerful leadership tools. And I'm not, you don't have to be a leader in a big corporate world, can if you want, but this is just leadership. We have to change it from within. If we're going to make a change, we've got to do it ourselves, and as the change happens through us. Rewire the beliefs that keep you invisible, exhausted, or out of alignment. As I just told that story. That when you're out of alignment, it's a belief. When you're exhausted, it's a belief. When you feel invisible, it's a belief. Lead your life and legacy with the same clarity and conviction you bring to others. We are the wise women. And this is a small group designed for midlife women who are ready to stop spinning and start moving forward with purpose. Now, this program starts 15th of June. But I want to speak to you. I have some options that I'm creating, and I want to make it as personal as I can. So if you're interested, I'd love you to book in for a call with me to see if it's what you want. We're just going to make a mini plan up, and then there's no pressure. I'm not going to force you. That's not how I operate. I don't force you or sell you into anything. If it's something that you are interested in, I invite you to book a call with me over the next week or so, and see if this is right for you. It's no good you signing up or anything if it's not right for you. That's just crazy. I'm not going to do that. I don't believe in that. I don't believe in pressuring or forcing people to do anything that it doesn't align with them and doesn't resonate. To me, everything has to resonate now in my life. Everything. If it doesn't feel right, I'm not going to do it. And I just came out of a big business group, and one of the things I got out of it at the end, although I loved it, towards the end when they talked to me about re-enrolling, I said it doesn't resonate any longer. Thank you very much. It just doesn't resonate. And I had the power and the confidence to say that without judgment. And that's what's really important, right? To be able to stand in your own power without judgment of yourself or anybody else. So in those 8 weeks, we create a plan that's perfect for you. We'll have calls and you get all sorts of, my ebook, my Mastering EFT video series, tapping videos to help you. We do weekly calls. We've got a support group in Facebook. And the thing that I know to be true is that women need support. We need community. Women just need community. We talk about with stress. We talk a lot about flight, fight, and freeze when we're stressed. And actually, women need tend and befriend when they're going through stress or going through challenges. They need tend and befriend. In other words, community. We talk. We'll go find a friend to talk to. We'll go to look after somebody. That's the way we deal with our stress. So the old male construct of flight, fight, and freeze is not how we deal with our stress. And so creating a community is especially important. You can't do this by yourself. It doesn't work. So I invite you to take a spot. We'll be sending out the replay of this. But as I said, I want to talk to you first. I wanted to just make sure that this is right for you. And I don't believe in selling people. I believe that. That's just that. If it's right for you, it's right. All right. We are now just at the top of the hour. So before we finish, is there anybody, if you've got any questions or you have any comments, let me know. Sue or Helen,